Congressman. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Mike. Hope you are too. 42 days.
Sure am. How many is it? 42?
42
is that what we got
days.
right now?
Yeah.
Man, this is it. Yeah, there's no. This is the push. I don't. This is it. Now, word on the street is you are helping J.D. Vance with his debate prep, and you're playing the part of Tim Walz. Is this true?
Yes, it's true. Yes, it is. And you, as you might guess, Mike, it's an honor to play a small part in helping the Trump-Vance ticket expose the failures of Kamala Harris and the incompetence of Tim Walz. It's going to be good.
What is this? How long have you known Tim Walz? Known of or known him?
Well, I met him shortly after he was elected to Congress back in the mid, 2007, 2008. But really got to know him when I got to Congress in 2015. So over the last 10 years, we know him well. And Mike, Minnesotans know better than anyone that we can't afford 4 years of a Harris-Walz administration in the White House. In Minnesota, under Walz' incompetent and failed leadership, taxes have skyrocketed, violent crime is up, and our communities are worse off. And I'll just tell you, the hardest part about playing Tim Walz in a mock debate with J.D. Vance is trying to tell lies with a straight face. That's the toughest part.
Well, listen, J.D.'s been crushing his interviews. He's been doing like every Sunday. He's on every show, and he's been doing an amazing job. But Tim Walz is good too, right? He's got a pretty good folksy, smooth talk about him, and a little bit of like a kind of maybe weird, but he's got like a swagger. How are you doing that? Or how are you simulating that? Because it's good. It's effective.
He's really good. Let's not sell him short on this stuff. He's short on substance. He's long on form. I mean, this guy, from wearing the camo stuff and everything else, he basically is an actor, a thespian who is showing you this great character. But you got to listen to him, and you can't take his bait because they get these little digs in, the little shots that he'll take, and you just can't take the bait. J.D. Vance is fantastic, as you know. J.D. will stay focused on the economy. J.D. will stay focused on the border and crime, and I expect J.D. will just stay focused on protecting peace around the globe and issues like that, talking about what Trump has already done, what Kamala has broken, and what Trump and Vance will do to once again fix all these things.
We've been talking about education a lot today. We played this clip from Doug Brinkley on MSNBC saying that if you elect Trump, it'll be a doomsday scenario. And one of the examples was he would get rid of the Department of Education. And Kamala's team took that, and they literally wrote, Donald Trump, and they played the same clip, or they played a clip of Donald Trump saying he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. And they concluded, Donald Trump doesn't want your kids to get an education. That's like an amazing conclusion of this. But like that's the kind of thing like Tim Walz will like deliver that really well. Be like, and he'll rattle off like 10 different things. Be like, oh, that guy, they want to take away your birth control. They want to take away your right to IVF. And I have, my daughter, my granddaughter, whatever. They don't want your kids to get an education. They don't want your kids to be safe. They want your kids to die. He just rattled these things off really, really smooth. How does JD come back to that?
I think you just do a quick response with, I don't know what Tim Walz knows about education. I know he was a teacher, but under his leadership, Minnesota public schools have lost population each of the last 4 years because they're not delivering what the parents expect for their children. And then you just pivot right back. Donald Trump did this. We will do it again. Donald Trump sealed the border. We will do that again. And you just stay focused on your issues, but you got to take what all the garbage is that he gives you, Mike, and in one sentence, diffuse it and go to your message, period. That's what Walz does. Walz has a bunch of phrases that he uses over and over. You're going to hear him say things like, we're not going back. It's time to turn the page and chart a new path forward. He says things like, we can sleep after we're dead. And I mean, it just goes on and on.
Mm-hmm. My favorite Kamala one is the dreams and aspirations and ambitions She always puts those three together of the American people. And I understand them. And that's why we have an opportunity economy. I'm just saying this because it all sounds good. Like, we can laugh at it, and we do, but I think they're very, very effective at it. What does debate prep look like exactly? Like, are you guys literally standing behind podiums?
They're good at wrapping it, as Dick Armey used to say, they're good at wrapping a turd up in love and giving it to you. This debate prep's going to be as close to the real thing as possible, as I understand it. Our team, again, we're honored to be part of it. Our team's been working on this. I've been working on this for the last month because we want to make sure that JD has the actual experience of what he's going to get, because we are very confident in how he's going to handle it and how he's going to respond. But it's like any other practice, right? You got to get him on the field. You got to run him the plays, and then you go out when it's time for the real game and you execute, and he will.
No, you got to do it as close as possible to the real thing. That's for sure. Would you suggest that JD bring up Tampon Tim? And I'm not joking. That's a real question. Like, would you suggest he bring up that he passed a bill that would require tampons to be in fourth grade bathrooms for boys?
No, I would not. I mean, I leave that to JD, but I would not. Stay on the things. Everybody already knows about how awful this guy is. He's being exposed on a daily basis. He believes boys should be allowed to participate in girls' high school sports. I mean, it's just insane. That's Tim Walz. But I think what JD needs to do is don't. There's so much material. You could go after him on all these things, but then you'd just be talking about Tim Walz and his failures. Why don't we talk about this administration and how Democrats have literally destroyed our economy, made people worse off in the last 4 years, and how Donald Trump and J.D. Vance can rectify that very quickly if people give them their vote.
That's right. So my instinct is to hit him on the tampon Tim because it speaks to the absurdity of their worldview. But then I'm thinking knowing the bias of the moderators, I'm sure, they would give him a chance to respond, and he would bring it back to caring.
It's about love. It's about love and acceptance, Mike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't, JD and Donald Trump and all these conservatives, they don't love, well done, they don't love children like we do. I'm a teacher, and I understand at-risk kids, blah, 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 and then people would feel good. Yeah. Tricky. All right, let's talk about a couple, any other final thoughts about that before I ask you about some races?
No, but you reminded me of a phrase that he uses all the time. Kamala Harris has brought back compassion, decency, humor, and joy back to our politics. I mean, again, it doesn't say anything. It's all happiness and joy.
I can't wait to hear what JD does back to that. It's a week from today, October 1st. Who's moderating it? Do you know what station?
Well, a couple of middle of the road. You got Nora and Margaret Brennan, right? Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan. A couple of very neutral moderators that'll probably be very fair to both sides. Not.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Yeah. See, sarcasm is a bit tricky on the radio, Congressman. So I'm not sure if everyone picked up on it, but I'm tracking.
They are
yesterday.
Not fair. They are not fair. They won't be as bad as the last two, but they ain't going to be good.
Yeah. Yesterday we talked to Tom Barrett, who's running in Lansing, Michigan, an open seat. What did he call it? The most contested election, or what's the term for this? For these races that are super close?
This is open. They're all hotly contested, right? And we got a handful of them across the country. The one you're talking about with Tom Barrett, that's the seat that Alyssa Slotkin held. I would argue she's running for the U.S. Senate in Michigan because she knew that Tom Barrett was going to beat her this time. Tom Barrett almost beat her last time, despite her amazing fundraising and war chest. He's going to win that seat this time because it's an open seat, but close at every level. But you're going to get Tom Barrett. It's Michiganders know we can't afford 4 more years of Kamala Harris and these Democrats' failed policies, record-breaking inflation, the historic border crisis that they created, soaring violent crime, which Michiganders experience up close and personal, and then total chaos that we all are seeing overseas, which is why from now until Election Day, our candidates like Tom Barrett are going to continue to out-message and outwork Democrats. They got a whole bunch of money, as you know, Mike, but they burn it in the streets. It's a lot more expensive to sell a lie. Our guys got to have enough resources, but they've got the message. And as long as we're doing the work and Tom Barrett's doing the work, we're going to be successful on November 5th.
It's pretty wild that Alaska only has one congressman, only one in the whole state. And right now it's a Democrat. How do we change that?
Well, it never should have been a Democrat. There's less than 1 million people in a state that's larger than Texas, right? Larger than many countries. But the state of Alaska is a Republican state. Donald Trump is going to crush Alaska. How did we get the current Democrat? We got it because of something called ranked choice voting, which I expect Alaskans to get rid of. And what ranked choice voting did is we had 2 Republicans who refused to back down in the special election after Don Young died, and then again in the general. Mike, they split 60% of the vote, and we've got a Democrat woman serving in Congress that only got 40% of Alaskans vote. This time, Nick Begich was the number 1 Republican. There were 3 Republicans on the ballot for the primary, and there were 3 Democrats, including the incumbent. Nick Begich was the number 1 Republican, and after he won, the other 2 Republicans withdrew from the race, knowing that it's important that Republicans get behind their candidate. And guess what? The Democrat still has 1 Democrat in. So there'll be Nick Begich, the incumbent Democrat, and another Democrat that are vying for that seat in November. And Nick's going to win it. As you've probably seen, the polling is now on his side, and it's only going to get better.
Well, Trump won Alaska in 2020 by 10 points. So, I mean, what are we talking about? I got a question about registrations in Pennsylvania. So I'll do this quickly, but Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016 by 44,000. He lost in 2020 by 81,000. But back in 2016, Democrats had an 892,000 Democrat registration advantage. And today, the Democrats only have a 338,000. So so 554,000 Democrats are no longer registered to vote from 2016. So this is promising for Trump. How does that happen? And how can Trump, but my other question is, how can Trump still win even if there are still 300,000 more Democrats in the state?
Well, he's going to win because there are Democrats. I mean, let's go to the 16 election. I'll hit this one first. I want you to take you back. It's after Trump has been inaugurated. He's now in office, and there are 4 Democrats sitting around at lunch, and 1 Democrat is complaining to the other 3. I don't understand how this happened. I voted for Hillary. You voted for Hillary. You voted for Hillary. How did he win? Mike, they didn't all vote for Hillary, and that's going to happen again. There are moderate Democrats or people that are left of center that understand how badly the policies that Harris and Biden have installed over the last 4 years have hurt them financially. They are falling behind. They understand that crime in their communities is because of the wide open border, this open border policy of the Harris-Biden administration, and the list goes on and on. So you're going to see that. You're not going to know who they are, but there are a bunch of Democrats that are going to vote for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.